How long have I been lifting weights? I've been lifting weights since I was like 19, 20. So a long time. I'm 53 now, so 34 years. Um, I've always liked lifting weights. I've never really been like super, like had a program. I just kind of did. So that was like in the 90s, and I was dating this guy who was like a bodybuilder. So I was kind of doing what he was doing, but he was like a bodybuilding guy. So I was doing a lot of chest, a lot of arms, and then I was like, I don't really want to do, like, I don't really care about working my chest and my arms that much. And so, I just kind of did my own thing, and then I just always liked it. Like I always liked just picking up the weights and pumping some iron, and just I'm responsive. Like my body's responsive though, so well, I think you get those newbie gains, right? So that's like that is super motivating, and then but you don't lose that, so you have like that muscle memory, and plus I'm short, so oh, thank you. So I'm short, so the muscle, will it develops. It looks bigger just because it's a smaller package. So it's funny, like when you see like all the like bodybuilding girls, they're very tiny, right? They're like little dolls, right? And there's not that many that are really tall. Like I think Erin Stern, I don't know how tall Erin Stern is. I think she's like on the taller side. But they're really tiny, so they can pack on that muscle. It's just easier when you have a smaller package than when you're tall. And I'm not saying that you can't, develop muscle when you're tall, but even the bodybuilding guys, there's not a lot of tall guys. Like Dorian Yates, he's short. Ronnie Coleman is short. There's a couple of big guys, but they're different weight classes. I'm not really sure how they classify the weight classes, but it just shows up a little more when you are short. And so that was motivating to actually put on some muscle. And then it doesn't really go away. You still have it. So even if you don't do it for a while, so there was a time like, when my kids were little and I was jonesing to get to the gym, but, I just couldn't. So I was just doing a ton of walking, and, then finally I had a little time. And so then I was like focusing on cardio classes, because I was just trying to get the weight off as fast as possible, of course, so that's when I started like Zumba. And there was one weightlifting class who I loved. I loved the instructor. But it was like, just how many cardio classes can I do so I can lose weight, which that like started off that whole thing. But I always still enjoyed lifting, and we had a little bit of equipment at the house, but I've literally had a gym membership since I was probably late 20, and just gone into like different gyms. And then a couple times I've like froze my membership because I couldn't go. Like when the kids were little, it was pointless to pay. But you have muscles under layers of fat. I always said I'm like, I have abs, but they're just hiding. They're hiding under Chardonnay and Rosé. Ooh, speaking of, I'm going to have some wine pretty soon. So, and I always knew like it was diet, but I was like convinced, right? Like that I could out exercise, like whatever my diet, like crappy diet of the week was, like that I could out exercise it. And so I've spent so much money on like, I'm a gadget girl. So I've spent a ton of money on, Polar products, right? So that I can know exactly how many calories I was burning. Like I needed to know that. And the scales that tell your exact body fat, and how much of your body is fat, and how much is water, and how much is muscle. Shit, I think I bought like 3 of those things, and they're expensive. And probably a good 3 or 4 watches, quite a few MP3 players, right? Because I used to be a rollerblade. I used to rollerblade on the canal. There's the Cape Cod Canal here. And so I have definitely kept up with, so it was Discman, right? Well, the cassette, Walkman, and then there was the Discman, which wasn't that great, but I would put it on top. So I had a double stroller for the kids, which was like a wind tunnel thing, and I'd push them with the with me on rollerblades. I got a ton of strange looks, but then I would put the Discman on top because there was that canopy. It sucked because like every time you hit a bump, it would skip. And then as soon as MP3 players came out, then that was the thing. I had a watch, like as soon as it came out, the technology, there was a watch that was an MP3 player. I forget what it was, but I was like all about it. And you could put like, I think like 50 songs in there. And I think I put a couple of 2 Live Crew songs in there. That's how long ago that was. Definitely some Salt and Pepper, and God, yeah, that's so funny. Headphones. So yeah, I've spent a ton of money on gadgets and things like heart rate monitors. I've spent a lot of money on heart rate monitors. I have like 3 different straps, like multiple watches, and the Garmin's, and this is Garmin. This does your heart rate, but it doesn't have the strap anymore. And I don't even look at my heart rate anymore. I have it disconnected. So it's, it's nothing that I'm interested in anymore. Like when I taught spin, like I would want to know how high my heart rate was getting. But that was just so that I could, make sure that I was working hard enough. And so I don't do that anymore. Now for me, it's just about cardio. It's not about cardio. It's just about weightlifting and then walking. So I don't do, once in a while so I used to run marathons, trained for a few marathons, and, that's a lot and a ton of running. So I'm a pretty good distance runner, but I'm also a pretty good, a fast runner, like faster than the average, but not like speedy by any means. But I could rock like a 6:45 mile back in the day. And back in the day, like I didn't start running until I was 35. So, and I'm 53 now. So I could rock a pretty fast mile for a 5K. And then, there was I would do some 10K races and then half marathons. And then I'm like, well, when I turn 40, then I want to run a marathon. And so I signed up for the Boston Marathon. And no, I've never been a bodybuilder. And so yeah, I did a marathon when I was 40. I said, when I turn 40, I'm going to do a marathon. And then I was like, I turned 40. I was like, shit, I got to do this marathon. So I bought a number to get into the Boston Marathon, and there was a guy that I knew that had an in. So I didn't qualify for that, because to qualify to get into the Boston Marathon, you have to run a marathon and for me at the time, I think my marathon time would have had to been 155, 255, so under 3 hours. And it's like, damn, that's pretty fast. Pretty fast. That's really damn fast. So my first marathon, I did it in 4 hours, 59 minutes, and 5 seconds. So I just broke the hour mark. And then I ran I did it 5 years later, and that was the year of the bombing. So I didn't even get to finish. And I know I shouldn't say it like that, but it was like a lot of, you do all this training and all this running. And then I was on pace. I'm not really sure, but I was on pace to be somewhere between 4 hours and 4 hours and 20 minutes. But I know I tanked at the end of that race. And so I was walking, and it was the last mile, and I just literally just couldn't run anymore. I was gassed, and I was like, I could be done. I could literally just walk off this course and be done. And so I kept going, but somebody was saying hey, the race is canceled. And then somebody said something else, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Because I had my headphones on, and there's helicopters everywhere and sirens going off. But I'm like, but I feel like it's always like that for Marathon Sunday, because you have so much going on in Boston. You have the Red Sox game and all the fans. It's a great race. It's so well attended, and the spectators are fabulous. And so there's always a lot of action. So I hear all the sirens and stuff, and I'm like, I just think that's normal. And then you couldn't get any further. So I was stopped I forget, half a mile or a quarter of a mile. I think it was a quarter of a mile away from the finish line. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, what do you mean? And like, everybody's leaving and they're like, go home, go back, go back. And I'm like, what do you mean go home, go back? Like, I want to finish my race. And my bus, so I took a bus to Boston, and like a bunch of us did. And so the bus was on the other side of where I wanted to be. And so like that was a whole shit show. So, yeah, that was a day. So good thing I wasn't faster, but I feel for the people that, got hurt in the bombing and died. So anyways, I am 53 and that's it. I'm turning 54 in October and I have a photo shoot that I'm doing tomorrow. So I am going to pour myself some wine because I got the go ahead. My coach was like, I said, I still feel a little kind of bloated today. So with it's kind of a little procedure that you do before. So let's see, I forget the days. Wednesday and Thursday was like a very low carb day. Is that right? Yeah, that was very low carb. Like very low carb. Like get the fuck out of here to my coach. Low carb. It was like 40 grams of carbs per day. I'm like, no. But I'll do fine. I'll do what you say. And then I had 2 days of very high carbs. So it was like 265 carbs on Friday and then 240 carbs yesterday. So I was like, yes, this is awesome. But then it was like so much carbs. So like I had a huge thing of strawberries. I had a huge thing of blueberries. I had 2 big, like everything bagel, everything bagels, 2 of those, a lot of rice, some pasta. So that was fun. And then today it's lower carbs again, but not so low. So it's 100 grams of carbs. But then he said, then after not having the carbs, then I got so bloated from having the carbs. So he's like, no, just keep doing the thing, keep the water up, keep the sodium up, and potassium, and it should. So this is the dry out today. So it's kind of moderate protein, low carbs, and then he said I could have a glass of wine. So I'm like, okay, all right, if you insist. Because I asked him before, I'm like, is it at all possible that I could have some wine? And he was like, it would not be advantageous at this point, right? So that was 5 days ago. So I got the go ahead, so yay. But he said I could have, so I'm going to definitely measure it out to make sure that I'm not going over, which, shit. Oh, it's fucking pointless. All right, now I gotta put more back in and I gotta clean off the scale. All right, this could go on all night. All right, so anyways. So I don't want to blow like all the stuff that I've done, right, the past few days just because I had some wine, but 1 glass of wine will be good. Plus, like, I think I need it to kind of like have like a little bit of a shrink effect to, the shrink effect would be dehydration, to tell you the truth. And I don't think that the lower carbs today is going to accomplish that. And so I sent him my check-in photo, and he was like, yeah, you could have some wine. So, woohoo. I don't have videos to show. Wait, I do have videos to show my lifting routine. So if you go back to like March, April, if you go back to April, oh, my coach is leaving an audio message. I better drink this before he changes his mind. Oh. God, that's so good. I haven't had wine in a week. So I do have videos to show my lifting routine, and that is so I actually have one of my whole week's program, done, and that would be around May. So if you go to maybe the middle of May, because I think I had a May challenge. So if you go down in my TikToks to May, it's going to show, because I did a 30-day challenge with like, follow me, because I did another photo shoot in July. And it was like, follow me, see what this looks like. And I did like all my meals. I showed all my meals. I did a video of like how to set up, like how to get all the protein in. I showed all of my, hey, how are you? Fitness at 50. I just found him, or maybe he found me, and then I followed his stuff. So we have very similar taste in music. So there are videos. Yes, there are videos. And then I did a YouTube video on how to set up a 3-day-a-week full body program. So that's titled, I think, Strength Training for Women. So I do a lot of stuff, you guys. So if you go to the link in my bio, then you can follow me if you wish on Instagram or on Facebook. And then I have a podcast called Mastering Menopause. I put out a new episode every Sunday. I just put one out today. And then I also do quite a bit of YouTube videos. So not quite a bit. I do way more TikToks than I do YouTube videos, but there is a video in there for strength training for women. So check that out. I don't have it written out, but I do have it written out in the TikTok. So I did like write out exactly what my workouts were for each day. So there should be like a week's worth, or I should say 5 days worth of videos where I was showing the workout, and I think I did like the actual exercises. So yep, they're in there. Anyways, Fitness at 50, what's going on? Now I forgot where you said you lived. I think you said you were in Idaho, if that is correct. So I love connecting with other like fitness people, especially people in their 50s, right? Because I know TikTok is full of, the younger generation, but hey, there's plenty of us Gen Xers out there too. So I think it's cool that like everybody, that was kind of one of the good things about COVID, is just like we were all bored out of our minds. So we're like, well, let's look at this TikTok thing. So, yeah, I never thought I would do TikTok. I was doing Instagram and Facebook, and most of my business was coming from Facebook because that's like where my people are. And then Instagram's like not down to talk about menopause and stuff like that. So, but that's kind of changed in like the past year, or maybe I'm just exposed to it more. But, there's 20 million or so women going through menopause. So somebody better fucking talk about it, because it's a huge shift. And there's not enough good information out there. And the things that people are doing in menopause are the same shit that they've been doing in their 20s and 30s and their early 40s, and it's not working. And like, I hate to see my ladies suffer, right? I don't like it. So that's why I'm out here doing my thing. Somebody commented the other day, and I feel bad because she was like 13. I don't actually know how old she was. I looked at her profile, but she was like, all you do is talk about women in menopause. How about the rest of us? And I'm like, dude, like the perimenopause and menopause is like a 10-year span. I think I'm fine with focusing on women in menopause. And so I was like, kind of like, whatever. And then I looked at her profile, and then she's like 13. I was like, damn, like you're looking for weight loss advice and you're 13. I'm like, fuck, that's not good. That is not good. So, the weight loss advice that I give is applicable to anybody, to anyone. It doesn't matter. So yes, you're going to, like, I don't think you need to focus so much. And everybody needs to focus on weight training, no matter what, right? Whether you're 13 or whether you're 33 or whether you're 63, everybody should be doing weight training. The thing that changes is, yes, you have more energy available to you, and so you can do cardio and do more of that high intensity exercise. But as you start to move into your 40s and then like into your 50s, your energy system, it changes, your metabolism changes, and your stress tolerance changes. And so that is because you're going through perimenopause, and now you have to support what's going on with your body. And that means taking away stress and saying no more often. And so, but we still concentrate on eating very low calories, which is a stress, and doing a shit ton of cardio, another stress on your already stressed body. So weight training is a stress, but your body adapts to weight training by building stronger muscles. So it's not this negative effect where when you're doing cardio and just focusing on that, that is a negative effect on cortisol and on leptin and ghrelin, your hormones. And those are really the guys that are in charge. Everybody's focusing on estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. No, those are all out of whack. Well, those fluctuate throughout your regular cycle anyways. And so blaming everything on, oh, it's menopause, right? That's what's going on. That's not exactly what's going on. It's cortisol is running the show if you let it. Right? So that is the stress hormone. And then that is going to control ghrelin, leptin, and those are your hunger hormones. You're dieting like a motherfucker and you're hungry, and that's ghrelin and leptin. They're coming in, they're like, we need food. So that's where cravings come from. So you go into this deep deficit. Well, all of a sudden you can't, like, here comes the weekend, and then you just have this uncontrollable urge to bring on calories. Well, that's your body's natural mechanism, and people think, oh, I can't, I'm just not good at, like, they just blame it on themselves and say they don't have any willpower. They're not, strict enough. We blame ourselves. But in fact, you kind of set yourself up for that. So it's not menopause that's making you larger than you want to be. It is stress, and it's doing the wrong activity. So you can bust out of that rut. I just did a podcast about this today. And just think, like, how long have you actually been dieting? Because I literally have been on a diet since I was 25. And I mean, I stopped finally at like 47, 48, 49, like right around 49 is when I finally just said, you know what, I'm going to be 50. When I turn 50, that's when menopause is going to hit, and then I'm never going to be able to lose this belly. That's what I thought, right? Because still people weren't talking about this 3 years ago, and there was zero information out there. Like, what is menopause? Like, I thought it was something that happened when you turn 50. Not knowing that I'm going through perimenopause, which is the hell stage. Menopause is just like, is such a small thing. It's like 1 year where you don't have a cycle. But it's everything leading up to that that's like a shit show. So, and I went through the ringer, but I put myself through that because I was not eating enough. I was exercising way too much and put my adrenals and my metabolism the shitter. So that led to a whole host of problems. And your body sends the signals, but we don't listen, So hair falling out, check. Low libido, check. Wired at night, I can't even go to sleep, check. Wake up exhausted and tired throughout the day, check. To the point where I couldn't even get out of bed one day. I was supposed to teach 2 spin classes. I got up out of bed and almost passed out, and I said, what the hell is wrong? And so then realized I had to address that issue. Food intolerances start coming up, your reaction to alcohol starts changing. And so these are all symptoms that came up, but the one that bothered me was, besides almost passing out, was that that I was getting fat around my stomach. And I was just like, okay, now that's enough, right? So all the other stuff, like, hey, like whatever, I can fix that. But so why is that the one that gets our attention? So I just wasn't, as a fitness instructor and a personal trainer as well, I'm like, this is unacceptable. And so that's when I said, obviously I need help. I'm exercising like a mofo. I hardly eat anything. I'm like, what's going on? So it's time to bring in some help and actually pay somebody to coach me. And that was a hard pill to swallow because I'm a coach. So I did. And that's when I learned about nutrition and how important it is. And I kind of knew that that was the piece. But I thought, like, with all the exercise that I was doing, like, sure as hell, like, I should be in shape, and I just wasn't. So it was definitely the nutrition piece. And free advice, right? Make sure you're eating plenty of protein, and make sure you're eating enough calories for your body, and that you're not in a super low deficit. So that is what transformed my body, that shrunk my menopause. And that is the first thing to go, right? That goes first, and then hips come down, and then chest comes down. So it all started coming off to the tune, like, I lost 20 pounds. I thought, like, I needed to lose like 5-10 pounds. And it was like, well, it was 10 actually. And then I ended up losing 20. So I haven't been this weight since like high school. So it's definitely possible. That took me 5 months, just maybe 5 or 6 months. It was pretty slow for me, but that's the way that it goes, right? So I didn't get rid of wine. I still had wine. I talked to my coach. I said, can I still have wine? Is that something that I have to give up? And he said, well, if that's something that you enjoy, that you want to keep in, he's like, then we will work that in. I said, well, okay, you're hired. So yeah, I drank pretty much every night that I know that sounds bad, but I used to be a bartender. So that was just my thing. Like that's what I do, is I drink wine. So hey Wendy, how are you? Some questions. All right. I'm sure you discussed it. How do you lose weight around the waist? So it's calories. So it's controlling stress, because that's going to dictate where the calories lie, right? Is stress and cortisol. Your cortisol receptors are here in the abdominal area. So when you are constantly under stress, you're raising cortisol, and then it's storing whatever excess calories it gets as fat. But also, if you're not eating enough calories, then it's going to, whatever it doesn't need for daily functions and to keep you alive, it's going to store as fat. So when you are going through perimenopause and menopause, it's just about balance. So you have like a window of calories that you should be in. If it's too low, you're going to store fat. If it's too high, you're going to store fat. And in both instances, it's going to store around your belly, which sucks, I know. But so to get rid of that, then you need to eat more protein and decrease carbs, and make sure that your fat is right around 30%, and make sure that you are like in that window of calories, not too low and not too high. And diabetes, that shouldn't affect. I know it's going to make it a little bit harder, but it shouldn't affect weight loss. So I know lifestyle has a lot to do with it. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Rose. Thank you. And people don't want to hear it, right? They don't want to hear that they should go to bed earlier. They shouldn't stay up all night drinking wine and watching Netflix. And, they don't want to hear that, you should walk every day instead of busting your ass doing cardio. They don't want to hear that, hey, you should be strength training, eating more protein, because it's so basic. They're like, wait, that's it? No, I need to be doing something. So I need to be driving myself into the ground, right? To make sure that I'm getting this off, right? So people just aren't patient at all anymore. People aren't consistent. And, if you are trying to lose weight, you're going to need plenty of patience, and you're going to need to be consistent. You don't have to be perfect, but it does have to be consistent. You can't have just 1,200 calories during the week and then fucking blow it out on the weekends. That is what I did plenty of times, right? That was my MO. And you're setting yourself up for a binge when you eat so low during the week. So, but also I think eating so low calorie is putting a hurt on your metabolism and your hormones. So when that is out of balance, then you're not going to lose weight. You can't. Your body could give two shits about you losing weight. It's trying to protect itself. It's trying to hold on to those calories. So whatever calories it gets that it's not using, then I hear that one a lot, but I am not hungry. That's because your body has adapted to the lower calories. You've been doing this for so long. You basically eliminated your hunger cues. It's not a good thing. That's an adaptation. If I eat, I feel like throwing up. So that is also here. All right. So this is not an easy fix for sure. It's just not a natural response to food would be, oh my God, okay, yes, I'm hungry. Yes, I'm going to eat some food, right? And not have this feeling that I'm going to throw up if I have this food. So that has a lot to do with what's going on in here. I'm not hungry because you think that this food is going to make you fat. All right. Measurements. So, if you are going into a steep calorie deficit, then one thing you know for sure is you're going to lose water, you're going to lose muscle, and then you're going to lose fat. And when you regain that weight, you're going to gain just fat back and some water. So that's what's the problem is with yo-yo dieting is you go into this rapid, this 1,200 calorie diet. You do that for like 6 weeks or however long you can stand that. And then you're like, oh, thank God that's over. And then you go back to your regular lifestyle. Well, if you lost 10, 12 pounds, whatever, that is going to be muscle and fat because you can't lose that much fat on those smaller calories or such a large deficit, I should say. So it's inevitable that you are going to lose muscle. But what happens when you regain that weight and the weight rebound is pretty fast. It is all fat that's going on. So now you've not only lost muscle on your body, but now you have more fat. So you do it again. Now you've lost even more muscle, but you have more fat. Do it again. Lose more muscle and get fatter. Lose more muscle, get fatter, lose more muscle, get fatter. So that's what's happening to your body. That's how women are losing their shape and then just getting rounder around the middle is because of that exact process. And it's depressing, yes, but there could be something done about it. Instead of being so fucking impatient about trying to lose 2 pounds a week, why don't you go into a smaller deficit and only do 500 calories per day of a deficit, right? Don't try to go into a deficit doing cardio because you're just driving. Again, it's the stress response. And so go into a smaller deficit. That's going to be way easier to handle. You're going to be able to do that Monday through Sunday, right? You're not going to have to start over again every single Monday. And then you'll see you lose a pound a week. You lose a pound a week. You lose a pound a week. Some weeks, right? You lose a pound, then you're nothing, right? And then you're like, what the hell? Now I'm stuck here for 3 weeks. And then you lose 2 pounds like the week after. Only if you didn't give up. But a lot of people say, fuck this, I'm giving up. So that's what's going on. It's being impatient and not being consistent, right? So yeah, it's a lot. And it sucks, but that's what's going on. It is about a calorie deficit, but if you are way too low in calories, you're just setting yourself up to go into a binge, but you're also not losing fat. So to make sure that you are losing fat, make sure that you're eating plenty of protein, make sure that you are weight training to stimulate that muscle, and make sure that you are actually putting some muscle on instead of losing the muscle, and then not going into that deficit, that like famine, right? 500 calories is doable for anybody. It's definitely adequate to lose weight. And just think, if you lost a pound a week, that's 4 pounds a month. By Christmas, you could be down 16, maybe even 20 pounds. But you have to be consistent. You can't be like, oh, well, it's the holidays are coming up, so yeah, I'm not going to diet, right? So, It depends. It depends on what you want, what your goals are. And I know it's really tempting to go into MyFitnessPal and just say, yes, I want to lose 2 pounds a week. And then it's going to dump you into a 1,200 calorie diet. And then you're going to be a miserable bitch. And then you're going to fucking gain it all back. So it's up to you. But all right. I am going to go. And if you have any questions, right, follow me on Instagram or Facebook, whatever your jam is. Check out my podcast, Mastering Menopause Podcast. Also YouTube videos. And I do have a free 5-day Menopause Meltdown Challenge. I have that going on all the time. Hey, girl. So, and that's a good point, right? Like, everybody's so focused on losing weight, but you're losing inches, and that's the flippin' win right there, right? Who cares about your weight? Nobody knows. Like, nobody's walking around like, oh, she's 145 pounds. Look at her, right? Like, nobody cares about that number. Nobody could give two shits about that number except for you, right? But if you are shrinking your package, right? If that package is getting smaller, isn't that what you want? Don't you want to look smaller and be leaner? Like, so what does it matter what the scale weight says? Because when you are weight training and when you are increasing your protein and building on muscle, you might not be losing weight, but you are going to be losing fat. And that's the difference between losing fat and losing weight. When you lose fat, that is going to look way different on your body than if you are just focusing on losing weight as fast as possible, because that weight as fast as possible is muscle, water, and fat. So, good point. I have watched My 600-Pound Life, yes. I feel like I was saying something and now I don't remember what it was. My free 5-day Menopause Meltdown Challenge. So check out the link in my bio. It's a absolutely free challenge. I'm going to challenge you to get in the recommended amount of protein so that you can lose weight. And I'm going to support you with showing you all the different options. I'm going to tell you exactly why you need to bring on that protein, what the benefits are, how you're going to feel, and what's going to happen, right? So, well, check it out. You don't need to do anything. All you're going to do is just track how many grams of protein you're getting. Yes, you might be inspired by day 1 or day 2 to go out and buy some protein sources, right? You might be wanting to get some chicken, some cheese sticks, some like whatever. But check it out, because that is definitely one of the keys. Is part of the nutrition is to make sure that you're eating enough protein. And then the other part is definitely going to be incorporating some kind of weightlifting program. But that's not what the 5-day challenge is about. The free 5-day Menopause Meltdown Challenge is challenging you to make one little change to your diet, and that's going to help shrink that menopause. So that's what that's all about. I'm going to go watch Billions. I have to catch up on Billions, so I have to see when that starts. I think that starts at 10. So I'm going to watch Ray Donovan first. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Check out the challenge. Check out, all my stuff. And I appreciate you for hanging out. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.